Can I just do the chair right there? Just get the closest distance. I know it seems so ridiculous. I don't think it's taking average.
It does not.
Another problem. The reason they're so sexy is because it's just like naked foot like Cinderella, but there's no platform. So if your phone is hitting wood, it is. It's actually really cool. And I did it before.
Hey besties, welcome back to my channel. There's been a mystery in this case for almost a year now. Ever since Wayfair filed a lawsuit against Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds, and Leslie Sloan, which was reported in the New York Times, and then filed an amended complaint in February 2024, people have been talking. The focus was a text message between Alex Saxes and Jamie Heath. In this text, a name was blacked out, someone who had supposedly given them advice about Blake. Naturally, everyone started asking, who could this person be? The text, from May 1st, shows Alex expressing frustration over constant script rewrites. She says, "Are you listening to this?" She's fixing the script. I think Blake's advice, blacked out, was actually wrong. Blake is now directing the movie. This is bad. I'm listening. Talking through it is better than not seeing what's possible. As long as any decision is done with approval. Jamie responds, not for something that was already intimately planned. This will be every day of the shoot. As a producer, Alex's job was to manage time, the budget, and make sure everything ran smoothly. She was worried about keeping the project on track. Jamie says, I know. Honestly, I'm not sure what can be done at this point regarding Blake. When this text came out, everyone started digging. They combed through Justin's podcast archives and social media to see if he had spoken to anyone who knew Blake and could have given advice. They even found a podcast with Paul Feig, so naturally, people assumed he was the one giving advice. Paul had worked with Blake on A Simple Favor and the sequel After It Ends With Us, but it wasn't Paul. No, the real details came out in Justin Baldoni's deposition transcripts, which were recently unsealed. I'm not saying Justin handled everything perfectly, he didn't. It was a high-stress environment with a lot of people involved. Many saw him as an easy target because he's a newer director with a newer studio, and they had his valuable IP, It Ends With Us. Blake and her friends saw an opportunity to take advantage, and the person they used to manipulate Justin? Sean Levy. Here's how it all unfolded. Justin, under oath, explained that when he bought the IP for It Ends With Us, the original plan was for him to direct the film. There was a moment where they considered hiring a female director, given the push for more female voices in Hollywood. But ultimately, because it was his IP, his company, and his original plan, he chose to direct the movie himself. He had bought the IP before the book became a massive success, and suddenly a lot of people got interested. Some believed he wasn't qualified to own it, they thought they should. One person who came into the mix before Sean Levy's involvement was Alex Saxes. Justin had known her for a while and approached her about joining the production. But here's where things get messy. Alex Saxes, despite being part of the production world, had a major problem in her past. She was part of a production company called June Pictures. Back in 2017, her business partner, Andrew Duncan, was accused of sexual harassment by over a dozen people. And according to sources, Alex allegedly knew about his behavior for over a year before he eventually left the company. After Duncan left, Alex took full control of June Pictures and bought out his shares. Duncan, of course, denied all allegations, claiming it was rivals trying to take advantage of a cynical media climate. Alex, meanwhile, said that the company had been tainted by the allegations. And she felt it was necessary to take sole control in order to protect the film projects. She bought out his shares, but ultimately, the company shut down because of everything that had happened, so let's pause for a second. This is a woman who seemingly covered up rampant sexual harassment, someone who arguably didn't deserve a second chance. And yet, Hollywood being Hollywood, Alex got another opportunity. She partnered with Justin Baldoni, brought Blake Lively into the mix, and connected them to Sony, and from there, everything spiraled out of control. This is classic Hollywood reality. Sometimes it's all about who you know. And sometimes, the people you meet aren't the right people. And if you hold valuable intellectual property, suddenly you're a target. Alex saw an opportunity to make a name for herself on a big-budget film. Sure, she had done smaller indie projects, but this was huge. And she felt entitled to her position as PGA, which she technically was. With Blake's high-profile involvement and Sony coming on board, the film was elevated to a level it had never reached before. But with that elevation came a new set of problems: Hollywood vultures who saw dollar signs in the chaos. And that's just my opinion. Even early in production, tensions started rising. Justin had conversations with Blake that apparently offended her. For example, he needed to prepare for a lift scene, so he asked her trainer about her weight. According to testimony from both Blake and Justin, at the time, Blake was heavily pregnant, and the conversation somehow veered into them discussing her son, specifically the circumcision of babies. Justin, in a highly awkward moment, offered that he himself was circumcised. Now, Goddell, someone involved in the testimony, asked, "Did she ask you if you were?" Justin responded, directly, "No." So it was a conversation that was only somewhat implied. But let's be honest, this is a sensitive topic. Circumcision is a major medical decision with risks, and parents want to be fully informed. This was Blake's first son, and suddenly Justin, a green director who was clearly inexperienced in these kinds of interpersonal dynamics, had crossed a very personal boundary. But here's where it gets worse. During depositions, it was revealed that Justin and his producing partner, Jamie, had started feeling paranoid about all the chaos on set. They felt the need to document everything, which sometimes meant recording phone calls, something they didn't normally do and didn't tell anyone about. These recordings were later included in Discovery. One of those calls? A call with Sean Levy. And this is where the real story of manipulation and interference begins. So here's where things really start to unravel. During depositions, Justin was asked about Sean Levy. He said, "Who is Sean Levy?" And Justin replied, "He's a director, and apparently a very close friend of Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds." When asked what he remembered about the call, Justin explained that Sean reached out and from the very start, he felt uncomfortable. It wasn't just a friendly check-in, he got the sense Sean was calling to adjust or course-correct, whatever that meant. When pressed, Justin clarified that it felt like Blake and Ryan had essentially asked Sean to intervene because they didn't think he could handle the situation on his own. The call was about the movie It Ends With Us and specifically about how to manage working with Blake. According to Justin, this call happened around April 2023. He recorded the conversation from his office in New Jersey, without informing Sean. This was just one of several calls they recorded. Others included Angie Janetti, WME, and Danny Greenberg. And Justin explained that on set, small issues were constantly being blown out of proportion. Things like Ryan screaming at him or Sean calling to give advice were tipping the scales. Just days after that April 23 call, on May 1, Alex Saxes sent a text to Jamie Heath saying, "I think what, blacked out name, told us was wrong. She's going to be directing the movie. This is bad. Let's pause." Within a matter of days, Sean Levy's advice essentially shifted the power dynamic on set. And this is where it gets shocking. Sean had no role in this film, he wasn't the director, he wasn't a producer. Yet he stepped in and started telling Justin how to handle Blake. That is a massive overstep. In the film industry, the director has sole authority over the cast and the creative vision. An outside director, no matter how experienced, has zero authority. By giving this advice, Sean undermined Justin's authority, credibility, and ability to lead. In effect, he was signaling to Blake and the crew that Justin wasn't capable of directing the film. Trust is everything between an actor and a director, and this call directly eroded it. From Justin's perspective, he believed Blake and Ryan had recruited Sean because they didn't think he could manage the situation. The advice he gave was simple: give Blake power, let her rewrite the script, give her a say in everything, and that's exactly what happened. The script started being rewritten constantly, Blake gained more control, and Ryan even started taking over parts of the script. All of this began shortly after Justin had rejected the rooftop scene. Sean's call essentially told Justin, "You can't do this, let her take over." From an industry ethics standpoint, this is a complete violation. Proper communication on a film set should go through established channels. Sean, Blake, and Ryan bypassed all of that. The result? Justin began giving Blake authority he shouldn't have ceded. Slowly, step by step, the hierarchy on set collapsed. She started rewriting scripts, asserting her vision, and undermining Justin's confidence. Every small decision he made felt scrutinized. Every move was second-guessed. And over time, the creative vision of the film itself began to shift, not because of his direction, but because of outside interference. It's not just about one conversation, it's the domino effect of bad advice, manipulation, and boundary violations that started dismantling Justin's authority on set. Justin was walking on eggshells constantly. Every day on set, he never knew if he was going to say the wrong thing or make the wrong move. People were taking offense at things that no reasonable person would even consider offensive. During his deposition, it became clear that he was being gaslighted. One lawyer asked him, "You really think she made up these sexual harassment claims to take control of the film? You really think that?" And then Justin would try to ground himself in reality, knowing that legally, her 17-point agreement gave her access to certain cuts of the film. If he didn't comply with her demands, he feared she could unleash a media storm painting him as a bad person. Justin is clearly someone sensitive, highly reactive, and neurodivergent. He has anger issues that occasionally flare on set, something that happens in high-pressure filmmaking. But then you add an outside interference from people like Sean Levy, and it became chaotic. Then there's Alex Saxes. According to text messages she was sending, she was telling everyone that Justin and his partner Jamie were narcissists, dangerous, and rewriting history. Keep in mind, this is the same Alex who failed to protect over a dozen women from harassment in her previous company and lost that business because of it. Now, suddenly, she's acting like the ultimate advocate, framing every minor conflict as harassment. Within days of production starting, she was already texting Angie Janetti saying, "We need a new director." Angie responded, "That will never happen. Wayfair won't allow it." Here's the breakdown. Sony wanted the film, Alex wanted to cement her power as PGA, Sean Levy wanted to help Blake and Ryan take control, and Justin, well, he took Sean's advice. That advice completely undermined his authority. He now had a producer on his set actively telling everyone he was a narcissist and dangerous. Honestly, it's hard to believe how toxic this environment became. And ironically, the real narcissists in this story were Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively, a truly malignant pair. Many people in Hollywood have narcissistic traits, but not everyone with those traits is a narcissist. Justin? Not a narcissist. He feels shame when he fails, he apologizes immediately, and he genuinely cares about doing right by others. He was weaponized. Blake and Ryan not only used external influence, like Taylor Swift, but also Sean Levy to take over control of the film. Sean's intervention was unethical, unprofessional, and shocking. He had no business giving a director advice on a production he wasn't involved in. Imagine being a woman, or anyone really, and having a man tell another man how to handle you, how to collaborate with you, how to manage you. It's offensive, sexist, and entirely out of bounds, and that advice flipped the power structure of the entire film. The text messages and rewrites made it obvious what was happening. And all of this built up to January 4th, the infamous hands-on meeting. By then, Blake was accusing Justin of things he hadn't done, exaggerating situations, and Ryan Reynolds openly screamed at him, claiming his script was a disaster and that he was saving the film, even when asked about Steve wanting to flip the narrative back to Ryan after an article leaked about him rewriting the script. Justin made it clear, he was caught in a perfect storm of manipulation, interference, and professional betrayal. Justin explained that he was simply passing along a message from his partner Steve. Steve had read a story reacting to something Blake Lively had said, which wasn't even confirmed. She hadn't been asked about her husband writing a scene. The story caused backlash against Ryan Reynolds too, because people wondered why he, a WGA writer, would write an uncredited scene in someone else's movie. Steve, seeing this apparent leak that the script was a disaster, suggested flipping the narrative, but this was purely defensive. Justin clarified, they never said, go do it. Fast forward to January 4th, the hands-on meeting. Ryan Reynolds humiliates Justin, screams that his script was a disaster, and tells him he's saving the movie. Everything comes full circle. Ryan set all this in motion. He brought in Sean Levy to advise on handling Blake. Blake amplified accusations of sexual harassment. Jenny Heath joined in. Alex Sachs ran around telling everyone Justin was a narcissist. After enduring this kind of manipulation and narcissistic abuse, it's easy to start doubting your reality, questioning yourself, and wondering if you did something wrong when you didn't. Justin wasn't perfect, he made mistakes, but this was clearly a hostile takeover. Sean Levy's involvement? Unethical, unprofessional, and a complete breach of boundaries. No director has the right to interfere in another's production. He should not work on projects like this again. What did Sean gain? Simple. The summer before Barbie and Oppenheimer released, those films made huge money. If Blake and Ryan could release movies side by side again, Sean would benefit from recreating that financial success. Ryan and Blake manipulated the system, pitting everyone against Justin. Headlines focus on minor details. Justin told Blake he was circumcised, or made a comment to Jenny Slate. But the real story? This was a calculated, organized chaos takeover orchestrated by Ryan and Blake, with Sean Levy and Alex Sachs facilitating. Justin was overwhelmed. He made some mistakes. People took advantage of him. But he did not do what they accused him of. The real headline here isn't about him, it's Ryan Reynolds and Sean Levy. So, what do you think? Drop your thoughts in the comments, give this video a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't yet, and hit the bell so you never miss an update. Thanks for watching. Bye, bestie.